lovely job. Cool. And I guess we've got lots of people on the call today, so if people could just stay muted if they're not talking, that would be really helpful, just because we've got yeah, a lot of us here. So big welcome to the LGAI Local Government AI Summit. It's the third time that we've hosted this now. So we did our first one same time in 2024. We did a second event last year, and this is kind of the third event in the series. So really pleased to kind of bring our community together for today's session. We do have quite a big agenda today, and I just wanted to share kind of what we're going to be going through. I guess the one thing I do want to kind of mention before I kind of talk through the agenda, there is a lot here. The sessions are kind of 15 minutes. We've got some that are half an hour, but they are very much a taster, a kind of introduction to that relevant topic or that relevant kind of area. If people are interested to find out more, we will absolutely put on kind of longer, more detailed webinars, you know, throughout 2026. So I guess actually, if there is anything that piques your interest through today's session, or anything that hasn't been covered that you'd like to find out about, just drop ideas into the chat. Kate and I will be kind of working through all the feedback that we get, all the kind of comments and questions, and that will really help us kind of shape up LGAI in our events for the next year. Just also to mention, all of these sessions are being recorded. We will be clipping them up into the individual sessions, and we'll be uploading those to the LGAI Circle platform for everybody to kind of access. So again, if you have to dip out and you can't come back, all of the recordings will be kind of available for people. And we'll have the slides going on there as well. So in terms of what we got coming up today, I'm just going to do a little bit of an opener around what we've kind of been seeing and hearing in local government around kind of AI as a quick introduction. Then we've got a really exciting agenda. I'm actually so pleased with everybody that we've got lined up to speak. So we've got Shelley Bowyer from Buckinghamshire Council, who's going to be talking about AI agents and thinking about kind of governance. We've got Julia Young from Leading AI, who will be sharing about their exciting work that they've been doing with a kind of tool that supports the workforce to understand policies and kind of how we can really create kind of guidance in an accessible and engaging way. We've got Kath Ritchie from North Yorkshire Council, who will be talking about how we kind of build the right culture around AI, how we get the right kind of learning across kind of teams and across kind of people in communities too. I'm really excited for that one. I think, you know, that's something that's really, really sort of important to me in the kind of work that we do. So yeah, very much looking forward to that one. Then we've got a short coffee break. Then after the coffee break, we've got our keynote speaker. So I'm really pleased that we've been able to get Kat Sexton from the MHCLG to come and talk. I did spot on LinkedIn, Kat said it's her first talking gig in her new role, so I won't steal her thunder anymore, but yeah, it'll be really exciting to hear from Kat and hear what she has to say as she kind of steps into her role in central government. Then I will be speaking with some colleagues from Ealing Council, and we've been working with HGS as well to do some work around continuing healthcare. And want to talk about the kind of impact that we've had there. And we've got some colleagues from Ealing that have actually been using the tool that are keen to share a little bit more. Then we've got colleagues from Sarah Care, Genie Connect. So being joined by Kaz and Eva, and they're going to be talking about kind of virtual care and how they've kind of been scaling projects, kind of moving from those pilots into those kind of much bigger projects that can really kind of have impact on, I guess, home care services, but much wider too. Then we've been joined by Kevin Lutley and Adam Hindhoff from Halton Borough Council to talk about their front door in children's services. I've heard Adam speak quite a lot about the impact that this work has had. So really pleased that we'll be able to kind of share this more widely, but really thinking about how we can kind of make information accessible in the easiest way and kind of get that out there to people in a proactive way. Then our second break, and do make use of the breaks, folks. I think what we have found the last couple of years is that people have maybe intended to dip in and out, but because the sessions are quite short and snappy, I've ended up staying for the whole session. So yes, utilise the breaks, go grab a drink, stretch your legs. Then we'll be joined by colleagues to talk about EHCP+. So that will be, again, ourselves at Outcomes Matter, joined by colleagues from GovMetric, and then also some of the local authority colleagues we've been working with. So from North Lincolnshire Council, and hopefully Brent Council as well, though Tamina, who is due to be joining us, has been called to do a mediation, which is the way things work when we're kind of working with these operational service areas. So we will see whether Tamina makes it back in time. If not, we'll put on a separate kind of session with colleagues from Brent. And then we've got our final kind of local authority led session where Steph Gledhill from Leeds City Council is talking about how they've been building trust in AI locally, how they've been kind of testing what works and thinking about what to take forward. I've seen Steph do a little bit of this presentation before, as I was lucky enough to join Leeds colleagues at an event last year. So very excited to see all of it because I didn't get to catch it all last time. And then if we've got some time, depending on where we get to, we've got a kind of Q&A section at the end. So please do utilise the chat. If there are things that you want to ask, find out more about, you know, if you've got particular questions, drop them in. We'll keep reviewing them throughout the event. And I think what we'll maybe do is pull out some key questions and answers sort of as we get to the end. And then we'll just close up with a bit around kind of what we are up to at LGAI over the kind of coming year. Adrian, I can see your comments in the chat. I will take a look my end in a mo if that's all right. But I can then see that Shelley said they've worked for her. So I guess things are turned on, but I will take a look shortly. Oh, fab. So just before we kind of get into the content, I thought it might be helpful just to share a bit about what LGAI is. Who are we? You know, why have we pulled this event together? So LGAI is local government AI, and we see ourselves as the kind of conduit between local authorities and AI, and you know, in I guess a whole range of ways. But as a whole, we are a community of like-minded individuals driving the use of AI in local government. We have about 400 members on our online community now. Feel free to scan the QR code. That's where all the recordings and slides will be sort of after the session. If you scan that, it will take you straight to the page to sign up for those that aren't signed up. And if you are, it will just sort of log you in. We come together lots throughout the year. Kate has been doing some really good sort of digging with our local authority colleagues over the last few months about what do we really kind of want and need from a community? You know, we've got this really great online platform that enables us to share resources. It enables us to coordinate events. It enables kind of chat functionality. And we were really kind of keen to make sure that our input was the most impactful that it could be. So we did some digging, and I guess it won't be probably a surprise to colleagues on here, but there was lots of talk about, you know, it would be really helpful to have like a place that we can share resources, case studies, guidance, guidelines, etc. And we've kind of sort of got that, I guess, in a way, in our LGAI hub already. So we really wanted to kind of probe on that a little bit more. And actually what we really found was that it was the events that colleagues really value. So us creating the space to come together, to talk about the kind of challenges, to talk about maybe the impacts that we're seeing, and then us being able to kind of coordinate and circulate resources following those events. So that's where we're going to focus over 2026. So I'd expect at least one webinar a month from us, maybe a couple, depending how things go. But yes, scan the QR code. I've also seen Kate's drop some links into the chat. You can sort of connect on there as well. So into some of the content. We have a Mentimeter. It would be really good to start to get, yeah, I guess kind of hearing from everybody here. So for those of you that have been at our events previously, you will have seen these questions before. So we have we've sort of done this question on the graph previously, and then we've got some questions coming up on the next slide. But it'd be really good if people could just drop name and organisation in the chat. And then if people can get onto the Mentimeter, there is a question that enables you to pin on this kind of graph where you would rate yourself on the typical AI journey. And then the next question is around sharing one word about how AI makes. So I'm just going to pop over to the Mentimeter. Can you see that on the Mentimeter now? Okay, has that changed?
Yes.
Perfect. Yes, so lots of dots dropping onto our graph, and I think actually I can see already my biggest observation. I can tell from just the last couple of years we are seeing more of that shift towards the kind of right hand side. So I think previously maybe seeing a little bit more towards the left. So when we're kind of on that very early journey with AI, we begin to understand the potential and our enthusiasm starts to build. And I guess as we learn a bit more, we start to also understand AI's limitations, and realize that, you know, it's not this silver bullet that's going to fix everything. Yes, it's helpful, but there are limits. But then once we kind of work through that, we then begin to understand how actually it can help us, but in a very kind of practical way. I think as I say, my biggest observation, we've got a lot more kind of confidence building, understanding building. So that's really, really positive to see. I'm just going to move on to the next slide. So this one, yeah, very, very keen to see people's thoughts. So we've got one word about how AI makes you feel. And yeah, I like the positive-ish one that's been dropped on there, because I think that's the thing that I was about to pick out. So on the whole, I think most people quite positive. There seems to be those, you know, optimistic, innovative, enthusiastic words, but a little bit of apprehension, you know, a bit of nervousness, a bit of unease. And for me, I think it's really important that we kind of recognise that, and we kind of work with people to understand why that is, because it's really important that we kind of address that and support colleagues to, to kind of build that confidence and feel comfortable. Kate, is there anything that you'd pull out of this one, other than things that I've mentioned?
I think it's all very fantastic, really. I mean, it's exactly what we would be expecting. There's a great range there of super positive. Obviously, excited would be one of my ones, but also those other ones that you know we're aware that people are, you know, apprehensive, uneasy, it's thoughtful. I think it's exactly what we'd expect to see in a session like this, and hopefully, you know, some of those anxieties and things we're going to be tackling with a lot of our speakers today to help explain some of those concerns a bit more, to reassure colleagues, but also open up some ideas for how to mitigate those risks, I guess.
Yeah, and it'd be good actually if we do this again at the end, maybe once we've been through some of the sessions, we'll see whether there's been any shift in these words. So yeah, feel free to kind of drop on, keep adding on words. It's really helpful to see. I'm going to move on to the next slide on here, which amazing, people have already started filling out. So these questions here, they're we do recognise they are kind of mostly geared up to local authority colleagues. However, we do hope that colleagues that are kind of tech providers or that are working with local authority colleagues can maybe think about the local authorities they're working with. What we're doing here, we've really asked some key questions around AI use, you know, across local authorities, so they're quite high level. We've asked these same questions again 2024, 2025, and now again this year. What we're really trying to do is understand, you know, is there opportunity for change? Do we have the right conditions? What is really needed to kind of get AI started within local authority areas? What we have done with the back of this, so I'm just going to stop sharing the Mentimeter now and just go back onto my slides. Does it switch back to slides, Kate?
Yes, ma'am.
Cool. So off the back of those questions, what we will be doing is producing a new State of the Sector report for 2026. It is a bit of a snapshot, but what it kind of pulls together is all of the stuff that we've learned over the last year, the insights from today, and a bit around kind of what we think is going to happen over this year. So we'll circulate that all. And yeah, I guess just anything that you can input to that would be really helpful. So just a little bit in terms of kind of what we are seeing and hearing across local government. I think my biggest observation is there's kind of no surprises here. I don't think it's shifted massively since last year. You know, demand is still rising across local authority services. I don't think that's going to change. In terms of kind of skills and capacity, when we're looking specifically at AI, I think it would be fair to say that, you know, there is a kind of gap in confidence, in understanding, in support for procuring and deploying AI solutions. And you know, we've certainly seen local authorities where it's taken a long time to kind of go through governance, because you've really had to build that confidence as you kind of go through the process. Data foundations, so data being fragmented across systems, across sort of different case notes, document sources. Systems can be limited in how they kind of work together. But actually now we do know that there are lots of solutions that can kind of start to help with this. Governance and risk still front and center of people's minds, and it's why we kind of wanted to open up with Shelley today. They are really legitimate core concerns. You know, councils do need to address those concerns and they do need to think about them, but we also need that kind of proportionate governance that still enables us to try all those innovative things and kind of learn, you know, in a way that maybe our private sector colleagues are able to do. And then kind of procurement and markets. So the AI market is moving at an incredible pace. There's kind of always updates to things, changes, new tools coming out, new resources. And I guess if we've already got kind of challenges with some of the things above, just trying to keep up with that pace is a real sort of challenge in itself. I'm sure there were kind of many more, but I think these are things that are probably relatively kind of consistent across areas. But what we have really seen this year, I think, is much more of this shift towards impact. And so previously, you know, maybe smaller scale pilots, but actually moving much more to kind of business as usual use of productivity tools. So things like meeting notes, you know, being recorded and turned into structured notes, callers calling in, and outbound calls being kind of voice automated, chatbots being used to support residents, you know, who are asking those common questions. And so we're seeing those more and more across local authorities. I've got a range of case studies for kind of each of the things mentioned on here. We're not going to have a chance to talk through them all today, but what I'll make sure we do when we send out the slides is just drop a bit of a resources list that people can have a look through. We're moving more to sort of you know, how do we do things safely? So I know certainly last year there was still lots of thinking of, oh, can we do this? Are we able to use AI in this, you know, sensitive area? But now with the kind of right frameworks, with the right governance in place, councils are kind of able to you know, utilize these AI projects. Seeing much more of this kind of shared learning, shared infrastructure. I'm sure this is what Kat will kind of talk about a bit in her slot, so I won't talk too much, but it's exactly why we exist as LGAI as well. You know, bringing people together, trying to get people to share, collaborate, you know, to firstly kind of save people time, but secondly kind of ultimately get to a better place quicker. We are recognizing now that these AI tools can actually be a real strategic solution. So I think previously there was maybe an understanding that it might help with some manual work. And now I think there is much more of that. Okay, how can AI sort of strategically help us within our service area? But critically, we are seeing that thing of this is never going to replace our professionals, and we will see this throughout today's thing. You know, yes, it's a really, really helpful tool and it can help take the admin burden away from our frontline professionals, but actually we need that professional judgment, expertise, human touch, and we're kind of seeing that more and more so through our work, and starting to sort of invest in the workforce as well around this, again, which we'll kind of hear more on later, but actually really kind of council starting to invest in training, guidance around AI, partnering with, you know, different organizations and giving kind of people space. And so overall, I guess for me, that big shift is kind of, we've gone from last year where it felt like it was kind of relatively small scale pilots to actually AI being used in kind of business as usual in many places now. In terms of kind of what we think councils should do now, I won't kind of read through all of the detail on here, but I think just to kind of touch on all of the different sessions we've got today, you know, we really do think if you start with outcomes and if you start with your kind of pressure points, that you will see that kind of big impact on people and the workforce. So we'll hear a little bit from EHCP Plus and CHC Plus around kind of that. Kate, is that a time nudge for me?
Yes, apologies. My time nudge was late itself, but there we
Fine.
go.
Yes, I'll be quick. Getting governance and assurance in early. Shelley we'll hear from next. I will not say any more on that one. Enabling the workforce to experiment with the right guardrails. Kath will be sort of talking around that sort of subject later on. Strengthening data foundations for priority use cases. I think, Steph, hopefully some of your session will sort of talk about that and how you can really find the kind of best use cases and you know, where's going to have the impact. And then that collaborating to reduce duplication and risk. Hopefully throughout you will see the kind of benefit of the collaboration, but with EHCP Plus particularly, we've brought many local authorities together through that journey. So we'll kind of share that. I'll ask of you today, drop lots in the chat. We've got a lot on the call, so we probably won't be able to kind of talk lots, but you know, share the reality of what's happening in your service areas, share what's working, if there are things you're stuck on, because someone in the room might be able to help. Define what good looks like. You know, if there are opportunities that spring to mind through today's session, then, you know, share them. We might be able to help you kind of work that through. And all of that will really help us kind of feed that state of the sector 1 year on report and our kind of overall direction of travel.